Hey guys, it's Chelsea. Today I wanted to start a series on books. I wanted to start a series on my favorite books of all time, physical books, ebooks, all the books that I've read under the sun, and I want to go in depth with 3 each for every video. So let's just get into it and start. This is in no particular order. I don't have my top 10 favorite books. I just have a bunch of just good books that I love and recommend. So the first book I want to discuss is Hermann Hesse's Demian. It's a coming-of-age book by one of my favorite German writers. One of my other favorite books is also Magister Ludi by Hermann Hesse, and I'll talk about that in another video, but for now I'll talk about this one. So this book is one of the reasons why I want to learn German, because I want to read all Hermann Hesse's books in its original language. But of course that's going to take some time and practice, and it'll probably take years until I'm able to do that, but maybe I'll update you if I'm still doing YouTube or making videos a couple years down the line. So this book is basically about Demian, the main character, that's his name, and he meets a really influential person in his life that sets the path for his future. And this is just about him and him going to school, the challenges he encounters, how he manages to overcome them, and things like that. It's a really good book. It's a really short read as well. So it's like something you can finish in one day. And I just want to read the introduction because, before I get into the introduction, I bought this at a used bookstore, and it has an inscription on it, which I think is really sweet and cool. It says, "To Meg, if you don't name your first child Whit or Whitney, please name it Demian. Meg, you're my Varley. I'm so happy to be your friend. And word. Love, Whit." And it's dated December 24th, 2011 from Bucheon, South Korea. And I'm going to read the intro now because I feel like it's really good. The moment I read it, I was like, this book is for me. This book explains everything that I wanted to, that explains my thoughts and my thought processes and deep philosophical musings that I had that I couldn't really say, that I couldn't really express in words. So I'm just going to read it. It's kind of long, so strap yourself in, grab some popcorn. I cannot tell my story without reaching a long way back. If it were possible, I would reach farther back still, into the very first years of my childhood, and beyond them into distant ancestral past. Novelists, when they write words, tend to take an almost godlike attitude towards their subject, pretending to a total comprehension of the story, a man's life, which they can therefore recount as God himself might, nothing standing between them and the naked truth, the entire story meaningful in every detail. I am as little able to do this as a novelist is, even though my story is more important to me than any novelist's is to him, for this is my story. It is the story of a man, not of an invented or possible or idealized or otherwise absent figure, but of a unique being of flesh and blood. Yet what a real living human being is made of seems to be less understood today than at any time before, and men, each one of whom represents a unique and valuable experiment on the part of nature, are therefore shot wholesale nowadays. If we were not something more than unique human beings, if each one of us could really be done away with once and for all by a single bullet, storytelling would lose all purpose. But every man is more than just himself. He also represents the unique, the very special, and always significant and remarkable point at which the world's phenomena exist. No, the world's phenomena intersect only once in this way and never again. That is why every man's story is important, eternal, sacred. That is why every man, as long as he lives and fulfills the will of nature, is wondrous and worthy of every consideration. In each individual, the spirit has become flesh. In each man, the creation suffers. Within each one, a Redeemer is nailed to the cross. Beautiful. The next book I want to talk about is a pretty cliche one. It's Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. I love this book. I do not agree with this book. I don't agree with a lot of the ideas that it tries to express, but at the same time, I like books that challenge my own morals, my own principles, and my own philosophy in life. And Objectivism does that. And it's about Dagny Taggart, who struggles to run her family's company, which is Taggart Transcontinental, which is a railroad company. And it talks about how greatness is stifled and uniformity is praised, and people not taking responsibility for their actions is driving the country into ruin. And it's a really great book that weaves her philosophy into a really great fictionalized account of the story of top executives of America and how the country's leading minds are being punished for being great and being selfish and only caring about money. And they consider money and capitalism to be the bastion of freedom and America and everything America represents. And I think this reflects how Ayn Rand felt when she first came to New York from living in the Soviet Union, seeing how the difference between communism and capitalism. And it's just a great book. It's a great read. It's very compelling. You can't put this book down. It's like 1,000 pages, and the font is tiny, but it's just such a good book. If you really want a book that will challenge your views and ideals, then pick this up and read through it. You won't regret it. And BioShock is based on it, so that's another. BioShock is one of my favorite FPS games I've ever played ever. BioShock Infinite is another one that is just 10 out of 10. The last book I want to talk about is one of the best books I've ever read in my life. I love this book. I've read this twice. I can quote from it. It's just so good. It's The Secret History by Donna Tartt, who is also one of my favorite authors. I love The Goldfinch. I've read that also. I read that twice as well. It's just such a good book. This is a story about Richard Papin, who joins a very reclusive Greek class in Hampton College, which is like a New England, very exclusive school where a lot of rich people go to. He goes there on scholarship, and it starts right off the bat with a murder, and it's not a who done it, it's a why done it, and it goes deep into secrecy and the limits of friendship. And really, it has a lot of diverse, very deep characters. Character development is really good in this book, and it ends on a very sad, very somber note. But I love it so much. It's very depressing, but it's such a great book, and the dialogue in it, the philosophical musings in it is just so good. The internal dialogue, internal monologue is just it's great. 10 out of 10, 5 stars. This book, you have to read it if you're into fiction and if you're into mystery, thrillers, and psychological books. This is a really A+ book. And that's it for now. Those are 3 books that I love and adore and would read again and would recommend to everyone out there who loves books. And I'll see you in my next video. This is the first part of a series. And yeah, thank you for watching if you watched till the end, and bye. Hopefully I'll see you again.